Welcome to Chromecast. Check it out. I'm Sam Major, Commercial Director for Krome Technologies, and I'm joined once again by Ben Randall, Technical Director.
Hi, Sam.
So today, May the 4th, World Password Day.
Yes, indeed.
So, interesting topic, but I guess, if you can give us the three things we're going to cover today.
Yeah, sure. So firstly, we're just going to go over what is World Password Day, where it came from. Then we're going to look at good password practices and what you should do around that, and then perhaps touch on how what you could do beyond just passwords for security.
Okay, so let's dive into it. Let's go into excuse me. What is World Password Day? Where did it come from?
Yeah, sure. So Intel actually started World Password Day off. It appears to be the first Thursday in May, so this is an exception. The fact it's 4th of May, it's just a coincidence with Star Wars. And it's also perpetuated a little more by the NCSC, the National Cybersecurity Centre in the UK, and the importance of having good password hygiene, how that is important for everyone, not just IT professionals. Literally wherever you have a password, your bank, that sort of thing.
Of course, yeah. So it's trying to raise that awareness of don't use, as many people still do, things like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and very basic passwords.
This kind of brings us into the whole point of it, the good password practices, and this is what the World Password Day was made to raise awareness. Yeah. It was meant to be NCSC came up with the 3 random words, and that's easy to remember, and it tells you what to do. And we can go into the detail on why that exists and why that advice is out there under sort of the good password practices, if you like.
Yeah. Sorry. I think we need to. It's interesting. We've had these discussions offline and with customers and so on. It's still interesting sometimes that you still see poor password management, or you speak to someone and you go, oh yeah, as we may have heard today, you have a password for your everything, and you think it's such a risk, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is the challenge. It's let's face it, it's very easy if you've got your password you remember and you use everywhere.
Yep.
And the challenge there is it's poor password hygiene. Even if that password's great, if that's stored, if you're using that one everywhere, using it in your bank, your social media, your wherever, if that gets breached in one of those locations, and and your identity is based on your email address typically, or your name or something like that, and that password, that means in all those other places that account has been breached.
Yeah.
So, and you see, if that's your bank, that banks tend to have actually introduced MFA and so on, so it's getting better now. But there's a lot of risk there that you've literally opening up, and this is why you see these sites like Have I Been Pwned and so on, where you can put in your ID and you can see if that's been that email address has been leaked in one of these breaches, and you can sort of, if that's happened, you've basically been breached in all sorts of places.
Well, like you say, if it's one, it's all.
Yes, exactly. If you follow that, so really the bottom line is you need to be using a different password for every login for different places. Obviously, your username is effectively going to be the same.
Yes.
So the one thing you can change
it's your email these days, typically, right? So
yeah, it's the easiest way.
But the management, the bit that I think the statistic was thrown around this morning that 53% of people manage their passwords just simply in their mind. And if you've got banking, social media, work, play, all this sort of stuff, you all have a lot of passwords.
Yeah.
So that's why people fall into the trap of going, well, I'll just have albeit maybe a good password, but if it's being attacked from all these different places, someone could eventually crack it, and then you've done everything.
Yeah.
So I guess under the password management bit, some of the what do we advise for the person that's trying to do that? What should you do instead?
Yeah, well, password manager is the obvious answer, because I'm not sure how many logins I've got in various sites. It's dozens, possibly hundreds, and I'm not going to remember all those if they're all different. No. So basically you need a password manager. There's all sorts of password managers out there. A lot of them are free, for the sort of the average user. Obviously for an enterprise, there are paid solutions where you can do the whole company. And there's a lot of useful features in that with sharing passwords without people actually knowing them as well, so that that
Okay.
information is hidden, but enables the log on to secure sites and so on. So a password manager, because obviously that doesn't forget what your password is. You're not relying on your brain to remember it.
I should never rely on my brain for anything.
No. And also that gives the opportunity to remember a much longer password. Well, say remember to have a
More
much longer
complex,
password, because traditionally you've got the really short passwords 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
yeah.
which and I believe the average password length is still 8 characters that people use.
Crazy.
Which is extremely easy to break.
I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but the amount of time an average computer can crack through an 8-character password is something.
It's just seconds.
Yeah, it's not a lot of time, is it? But I know it gets exponentially, and you might know, but exponentially more difficult as we add characters.
Yes.
It's like
absolutely.
Millions or trillions of times more, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe the difference between a 6 and a 12-character password is something in the region of 62 trillion times harder.
Wow, that's quite a lot then.
In the region of that, someone's going to get their calculator out and work out, prove me wrong, but
shoes and socks off and whatnot. But as an order of magnitude, that's vast.
Yes.
By just having the effort to put in some extra characters.
Yeah.
But going back to the 3 random words thing, isn't it? It's like you can sit at your desk and go, it's window, chair, person.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's not perfect, but what that does is it makes the password longer.
Yeah.
So 3 words are much longer than almost any single word on its own. They don't have if you're going to get strict about it, they don't have a great deal of entropy because they're 3 known words. So an advanced dictionary search could perhaps, if it's assuming there aren't any funny characters in there, but as soon as you start adding capitalization or some other
the randomness.
Complexity, some special characters or something into that, it gets really hard to break those. So, rolling that together, just the 3 random words is a good start.
Yeah.
That really is.
Providing that's over what's our recommended minimum character to a password nowadays, then it's 12 or
yeah, I mean, to 12 or more, really. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly when I'm making recommendations, I go further than that now, but because once you've got people in the habit of using a longer password, it's not that hard to add a couple more.
No, it's also, I guess, just touch on the habits of. I know we used to have it many years ago. It was here every quarter. You need to change your password, and that gets into so again, it's people remembering and whatnot. And also, I know that's not our policy or the policy we recommend now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the NCSC again recommend against having that because it makes people tend to do things like have shorter passwords because it's easier to remember, or something that's based on their birthday, or
they'll post-it note on the laptop.
Exactly, the post-it under the keyboard. Yeah. So and that sort of thing just defeats the whole purpose of it. So really, you want to have people together. So get a really good password if it's their main login sort of thing, and then they can remember that, and that just really helps with.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess what other tips do you have around that sort of thing? I know there's some clever stuff you can do with Azure and AD controls and so on to actually limit.
Exactly. I mean, that brings us on to effectively what we're talking about is going beyond just the password. So if you imagine you've got an Excel spreadsheet that has, you want to keep it secure, so you put a password on it, then obviously if that password gets discovered, then it's just a single password to get into that spreadsheet, but you can use there's the feature in there to actually base it on your login. So you could lock down, only myself and these other users are allowed to open it, and then you're using the
certain groups and so on. Then
yeah, exactly. Well, you could lock it down like that, so only these people are able to open it, and their passwords. Obviously, I don't know what they are.
Yeah,
and also I could take them out of it. I don't want them to open that anymore for whatever reason. When the sort of JML process, you can take them out, and also you can leverage the other features of Azure. So not only is a password, you use multi-factor authentication, which has automatically done that, which Excel on its own doesn't really support, but you're leveraging that feature.
Yeah, and we obviously talked before, excuse me, the importance of multi-factor authentication.
Absolutely.
It seems second nature, I know, to all of us, obviously, but I think it's madness not to have it now, but we still see that people haven't necessarily. And you get the pushback that it's another step or it's inconvenient. It's like, not as inconvenient as losing everything. Yeah,
I mean, exactly. I mean, we've had clients who've had near misses on breaches and literally saying, look, you need to be switching on multi-factor authentication for this important person, this whale now that's just been phished. And, the pushback is, it's he doesn't like to do it, it's expensive. Like, well, not as expensive as the breach that you just narrowly avoided, and really, once you've got in the habit of it, it's not very hard. Let's face it, with your bank,
Yeah.
you happily accept that, because if your money got stolen,
Exactly.
and it's just the same thing.
Just making it's thinking of that in the same way, isn't it? And let's be honest, multi-factor authentication, depending on what sort of device you use, is as difficult as a thumbprint potentially, or putting in a number. It doesn't slow you down, does it really?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're moving beyond the basic, like just prompt, because that can be a little bit vulnerable in some ways, where you keep getting prompted, so just acknowledge that and let someone in. But actually, you've got the number matching or entering a rolling code. That's really good. Because, even if you've got a password has been breached, you've just got that extra layer of security on top.
Absolutely. We should probably cover off very quickly before we end and we're seeing it now with people doing these forced attacks, and obviously the authenticator just going bing, 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 bing. Don't be tempted to go, oh, please stop beeping.
Too much.
Pay attention to that.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, that kind of thing. Also, perhaps auditing your as a company, you can do checks on, take a download of the password database, you can run checks against that. It's something that we do, and we can do a kind of a brute force attack on those password hashes, and the easy stuff will get unlocked. The difficult passwords, we probably won't be able to work out what they are, but that's fine. But the ones that we can, then we go back to those users and say, look, you need to up your game on the password.
Absolutely. It's a bit of user training.
Yeah.
As always, the right tools, right technology, the right training and practices, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Thank you, Ben. Interesting as always.
All right. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks for joining us again on Tech It Out. Do like, subscribe and share. And if there's anything you'd like us to talk about in future episodes, please leave it in the comments section below. Thank you. Take it out.